Hello, welcome to the Villa View. It's time for the post-match pint in association with Purity, joined by Neil from For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast and Max Stokes from Villa on Tour. And lads, I'll come to you first, Neil. I think we can agree that's a very good point for Villa.
That's going to be a very important point. Exactly. Yeah, that was a hard fought point, but a point also from a game that we grew into. I suppose my initial reaction after the game was the commentators in the stream I was watching made a big deal about Villa never getting anything out of a game they conceded first in. And once again, this is another brilliant thing this team has done. They won with 10 men in the last game, and now they've come to this game and they've gotten something out of a game where they conceded first. So this team is growing and growing, even from that point of view. The point aside, I was really, really impressed with how the team played and the changes that the management team made after the first 35, 40 minutes. So, yeah, all in all, really chuffed at that.
Yeah, because coming to the end of the first half, Max, we looked a bit leggy. We looked a bit tired. I think going in 1-0, we were probably all a little bit worried about the second half, even though I'd say we had some decent moments in the first half. But the effort in the second half and the endeavour to get back into the game quite early. And then, like Neil says, we actually could have won it, as could they, really.
Yeah, I think it was a really good game. Like you said, either team could have nicked it. I think first 10, 15 minutes, we came out the blocks really well. We looked bang up for it. But as the half went on, you sort of knew that we played 48 hours ago. You could tell. And we made like minimal change. I don't think we made any changes if you discount Mings, because Con's pretty much played more than half a game against Crystal Palace. So you've got to be really, really impressed with what Villa have put out today. Chelsea made, I don't know how many changes it was, but it was a lot, wasn't it?
Six. I think it was six.
So you could tell as well that they were, a little bit fresher. But yeah, you've got to be really pleased with that. Like Neil said, we haven't got anything when we've gone behind this season. So to do it at a place like Stamford Bridge, you've got to be really, really impressed.
Yeah, and to do it without Mings as well, Neil. I mean, I put a tweet out before the game, and I was surprised by not the hatred for Mings, but I thought it was a real lack of respect to Mings. He's an important part of this team, but to be fair, Hawes and Konsa especially in the second half, they just got in the way of everything, didn't they?
Absolutely. Courtney Hawes is excellent, and Mings comes back into this team. I don't think anyone should take that away from the way this team is playing. Mings comes back in and plays in this team once his suspension is over. Courtney Hawes has been nothing short of superb. He's so assured. He just gets in the way of things and he gets his head on everything, and he's a menace in the other box as well. A lot of people. It was actually strange, Dan. It was like as if someone just turned on a switch for Mings bashing today. It really was, because it was. I saw it as well, and I was wondering. I thought it was. Because I never saw it. I've never seen it before. And I know on my own podcast, sometimes I've questioned maybe rash decisions from Mings, but it's never been a case that we were saying drop him, flog him, sell him, and take, and humiliate him or anything. It's never anything like that. Sometimes he makes a mistake. It's fine, but it was pretty. It was pretty weird to see that today, but it's going to be great to have him back when he does come back into the team. But take nothing away from Konsa and House today; they were fantastic. And as I say, I'll just keep on bringing it up. Courtney House is, if not one of the best aerial defender in statistically in Europe. But he actually is statistically in Europe as well. And I can't find the tweet, but when I do, I'll retweet it again. But he's been absolutely immense. Far and away better than any other defender in the air.
Yeah, and if you think back to last season, Max Mings had a little spell out just before Christmas, and things were worrying at the back, to say the least, at that point. He's not there today, up against one of the best teams in the league, team that have spent a fortune in the summer. They've been able to make the 6 changes today, bring in world-class players, but we've still kept them at bay. And it's like Neil said at the start, the difference in many, many things to what there was last season is incredible.
It is, and it's just really, really just unbelievable to see how far we've come in these 12 months. Because like you said, this time last year, exactly to the day, I think we played Watford away and lost 3-0, and it was just horrific. People calling for Smith's head. It was just dreadful. Lansbury and Jota played that game, and it was just so bad. And I think there was only one way Villa were going at that point, but now we're only going up, and it's just so good to see. Just going back to the Ming slander as well on Twitter and social media and things like that. It's a little bit strange. Like, yeah, he can make the odd mistake during a game and stuff, but I think people just look at that and think, okay, he must be a poor defender. But his leadership qualities as well just go unnoticed a little bit. I think the commentators were saying it on the stream that I was watching. He's just so vocal and he's so good at organising Villa, and he's not in the England squad for nothing. Like, you can't take that away from him. He's a great defender, and I think he comes straight back into the starting 11 on Friday against Man United. Don't get me wrong, Courtney Hause has been absolutely brilliant when called upon. Const is just fantastic in his own right, so he obviously starts, in my opinion. But yeah, I think you got to go back to Mings and Const on Friday. But yeah, just really, really impressive, because you look at the bench for Chelsea, and it's just so strong. Havertz, Werner, loads of quality on there, and then us, not so much. I think our bench is a little bit weak, which is something in the long term we've got to look at. But right now, it doesn't seem to be that much of an issue. But yeah, like I said, really, really impressive tonight. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, and a big thing from this little run that we've got going at the moment, Neil, is it's all been done without Ross Barkley. And I think initially when he was out, there was a little bit of a worry from us about what might happen. And to be fair, I say, I'm not sure whether I mean it, but you know what I mean. We've not missed him.
No, we haven't. We probably did at the start when the team kind of found its shape. I think we've stumbled upon something here in the front four. Now, when I say stumbled upon it, obviously we all knew about these four players, but the way that they're interacting with each other, the fact that they've gotten some time to play together, and now you know that Jack is picking out runs for El Ghazi, Bertrand Traore. Jack knows whether he comes inside maybe a small bit more, plays maybe a small bit narrower, and Jack is getting reacclimatized to playing that central role as well. Beforehand, the first couple of games, there was a bit of disjointedness there, and we missed Trezeguet and Barkley, because don't forget Trezeguet would have, like Trezeguet being out has opened the door for Bertie to come in, but we haven't missed them in the last few games because of the coherency that that front four has now developed from playing together, and it's just fantastic to see. Like Dean Smith, going back to kind of like the Mings thing as well. Dean Smith must be rubbing his hands with glee to say that, you know, you've got Ross Barkley, you've got Mings, you've got potentially, maybe not yet, maybe later on in the new year, Trezeguet to come back, and Wesley, and who knows, there could be a signing or two coming in here as well. Like it just bodes so well. And I think as well, a good thing that happened today is that there was no yellow cards for Jack. There was no yellow card for Target. That could have really disrupted us in those two positions as well. But as you mentioned, Ross Barkley coming in there somewhere, even if he comes off the bench against United, will be a super lift to the attacking intent of this team. And yeah, as I say, it's just Cloud9 stuff really at the moment, the way this team is playing against adversity.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the emergence of Jacob Ramsey as well. He came on and nearly scored with his first touch. But on the Villa View, Max, for many weeks, we have questioned the squad size. At times, we've lamented it. But El Ghazi, yet again, he's come from nowhere, really. He wasn't even getting on the bench at one stage. He's come on against Wolves and bagged a penalty, and he's not really looked back. And it does just show you things can change very, very quickly in football.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think El Ghazi had a lot of the ball before he scored. I think, obviously it was a different game to the likes of the Burnley game, the Palace game, where he was getting all the opportunities, everything. Well, not everything, but a lot of the play was going through him. So I think he was a little bit quieter tonight, but right place, right time, has one chance. And for once, he actually scores it this time. So yeah, really impressed with him. But where does Barkley come back in? Because I think Traore has scored last couple of games, looking really bright, looking like he's found his feet after taking a couple of months to settle in. Like we've touched on, Ghazi's doing really well, scoring every week as well. So where does Barkley come in? I think it's a really good option to have. I know it's a cliche, it's a good headache to have for Smith and things like that. But whether he does come off the bench against Man United, I think I'd probably start him on the bench and things like that. Again, Trezeguet's got to come back as well. And when he does, it just bodes really well for the squad size and things like that. It just gives us more options, because you look at that bench today, and I know Davis came on and, really, really impressed with Ramsey. Had a few bright moments tonight, touched the ball a few times, but he could have scored with his first shot there. But yeah, I think when Trezeguet, Barkley come back, it's so much brighter. But yeah, we'll see with that one.
I think, and it would be harsh. I think the most likely person at the moment to make way, Neil, is probably Traore. Do you just want to talk a bit about the goal we did concede? Because there was a few questions asked about him tracking back. And to be fair to him, he did rectify that in the second half.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, there was definitely questions with him being too narrow an awful lot of the first half. Except for Matty Cash were very, very narrow. He wanted to pick the ball up, and I think it's a part of his game where he likes to pick the ball up a small bit more in field, but that's at the detriment to his defensive abilities. So when Chilwell gets the ball, he was right in the touchline essentially, and he didn't really track back to get to him. Obviously, the cross came in, and Giroud just pulls out an absolute wonderful header. Like it was just a ridiculous header. How you beat the goalkeeper from there? Against us, he's a joke anyway. He's a cheat code. something. But also there was a couple of bits and pieces, if you look back at it as well, probably the only mistake, and it's a tiny mistake that John McGinn makes, is John McGinn lets him run past him at the edge of the area to get in after he lays the ball off, before the ball goes out to Chilwell. John McGinn could have tracked him as well there, but it would be very harsh for me to say it was John McGinn's fault that he scored that goal. Perfect cross, perfect header. But I suppose the nitpicky pieces are somebody should have been closer to Chilwell for sure. Bertrand Traore should have been out there. Matty Cash had to make a lung buster to try and get out there, but he had no hope of catching him. And look, Giroud just did what he does and nodded it in, at an impossible angle.
Yeah, he's a joke, Giroud. He's one of my favourite players in the Prem. I think his link-up play is just sensational, and he seems to score every time he plays for Chelsea at the moment. You've got to question why he doesn't start every week at the moment. But Max, from a Villa point of view, we've spoke about it a little bit, but to come from behind then and straight away in the second half, you could see there'd been a message in the dressing room, obviously, and that we started with some massive intent.
Yeah, you could definitely see what Dean Smith said at half-time, going back to the Cash and Traore sort of thing. I think we were getting exploited far too easily in the first half down there, left-hand side, which is where the goal came from. I just think Cash was doing all he could, but against Chilwell, Mason Mount, Pulisic, who were, doubling up on him, maybe three of them were going at him, it was really, really hard for him. So I think you could definitely see the message at half-time. Traore, his work rate was so much better second half coming back. And it paid dividends, because I think Chilwell's a fantastic left back and he gets forward so well. His delivery is fantastic. And when you've got a player like Giroud in the box and you've got Chilwell delivering balls, you've got to be really, really careful. And I think second half we did well. Giroud went off in the end, obviously, and he scored 10 goals against Villa now in his career, Giroud, which is the most against anyone. I saw that stat, which is just ridiculous. So hopefully we don't come up against him anytime soon again. But yeah, I think we did well second half. We came out with intensity again. You could definitely see the message at half-time. So really, really impressive to see that.
Yeah, I mean, Giroud joins the list of many, many players over the years whose favourite opposition is Aston Villa Football Club. I mean, just off the top of my head, Robbie Fowler used to have an absolute field day. Steven Gerrard, Lampard himself, the manager of Chelsea at the moment. I mean, there's countless players over the years that just have loved playing against Villa. It's just one of them things, isn't it? It just seems to happen every single time. And Neil, we've spoke a little bit, you've touched a little bit on John McGinn. I thought he was absolutely out of this world tonight. Incredible, considering he's played the 90 minutes, 45 of that being with 10 men a few days ago, to go against Chelsea and dominate the way he did against a player like Kante as well. I actually thought he out-Kante'd Kante, which is, there's no bigger compliment in my eyes.
Yeah, he was a nuisance. He was absolutely everywhere, straight from the first whistle. It was an interesting setup that our central midfield had at the very, very start of the game, and it looked like that Dougie Luiz was really holding the centre, and McGinn was kind of pivoting around him, almost orbiting him as such, getting over to the left, getting to the right, never getting behind him, but always kind of playing in an arc around the front of him. And this is another change that Dean Smith seemed to make as well, because Mason Mount got on the ball a couple of times and Pulisic was coming infield to get the ball. He was almost rotating with Mason Mount there on the left-hand side. And it was because John McGinn was doing that kind of orbiting Douglas Luiz, for want of a better word, and there was nobody there to pick up somebody making a run from the right-hand side. But in the second half, they kind of played a small bit more traditionally, a small bit more orthodox, and Douglas Luiz had a bit more of an opportunity to move around the field a bit more, and you could see John McGinn was just imperious. The second half specifically, he was just excellent. That howitzer that came back off the bar, just getting in everywhere, these little niggles. He put his body on the line for one bad tackle, and Frank Lampard seemed to shout something into him from the touchline, and McGinn told him what he thought of him at one stage, which was particularly nice to see. But he's just a dynamo. That's the word that I would call him. He played today like he played again in the early part of last season against Spurs, against Bournemouth. Even though we were in a losing effort in both of those games, he was absolutely everywhere, and he was by far our most energetic player today. Aston Villa tweeted out his stats there earlier on. I can't seem to find them now, but there's just some ridiculous statistics there. And if that shot from the middle of nowhere goes in, I'd love to see his Instagram celebration in the dressing room afterwards, but alas, it didn't. But he was still by far and away the man of the match, I think, tonight, and deserves all the plaudits he gets.
I think we're going to have to give you your own tactical segment on this show, Neil, because you're talking a way that, quite frankly, makes me feel that I know nothing about football the way you were talking there. And Max, with McGinn, you kind of feel like, I feel this anyway, that his natural instincts have been curtailed a little bit playing deeper. And if you'd have said to me a few months ago that was going to happen, I wouldn't have liked it. I'd have said no chance. Oh, some great director work there from Adam getting the tweet up on the screen. Unbelievable scenes on the Villa View, and it's the right tweet. It's all going right tonight. Back to what I was saying. So you kind of feel like his game's been curtailed a bit, and I wouldn't have been sure about that. But I actually prefer him playing deep and not charging around box to box. I actually really like him next to Luiz as a deep line midfielder because I think it makes us more solid, but it brings out different sides to his game that you don't perhaps see when he's box to box.
Yeah, definitely. I think it gives us a lot more protection, doesn't it? Rather than just being Douglas Luiz by himself trying to do all the work, especially against a team like Chelsea where they've got legs in midfield, Kante, Jorginho, Havertz coming on as well. So yeah, defensively, like you said, a few eyebrows might have been raised at that, but I think, you know, he's done really, really well, and it's done really well for us. In the last couple of seasons, there's been a lot of pressure on him to score goals because if it's not Jack, who's it going to be? That's kind of what it's been like last year, especially. So there was a lot of onus on him to get goals. But now we just don't need that. Even Ollie Watkins hasn't scored for a while, but we're still scoring goals. So there's no pressure on anyone to do that because goals are coming from all over the place at the moment. So there's no pressure on McGinn in particular to do that. And just his work in midfield was absolutely sensational tonight. And when you see him coming up against someone like Kante, you're going to think it's going to be a difficult night for him, especially having, you know, played 48 hours ago. So he was just unbelievable tonight. And, you know, he got that injury, didn't he, about a year ago, and it took him a while to get back into his rhythm. But tonight, he's back to his best. And just in general, it's great to see sort of players develop with Aston Villa because he came to us in the Championship and he stepped up to the Premier League really well. But just like Jack, he always finds a new gear, and it's just so great to see players develop with Villa. So yeah, credit to John McGinn tonight. Just undoubtedly man of the match. He was just incredible.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing you say about people developing. If you look at many players that are in our first team at the moment, you look at where they were a year ago and where they are now. I mean, you think about Konsa, Douglas Luiz, who I was not having this time last year at all. But the big one, Neil, is Matt Targett. He looks like a proper defender now. We used to love him going forward, but certain Villa fans, myself at times, any of us at times, would question his defensive ability. He's now at the point where you actually feel like he loves the dirty side of being a fullback and defending now, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I was actually literally crossing both my fingers and my toes and everything like that to make sure that he didn't get that yellow card because he's going to be pivotal against United, and United is my Super Bowl. I want to beat United. I just really want to I want to make sure that we vanquish that ghost because we haven't actually lost to the top six, any of the traditional top six teams so far this season, to the best of my knowledge. But Matt Targett is pivotal. He really is. I've said it before. Jack likes playing with him. He likes playing down that left-hand side with him. And I think that the confidence that a full-back would have in the fact that the talisman, the leader of the club, frankly, one of the best players in Europe at the moment, actually sees him as a valuable tool to his progression as a player, as being one of the best players in Europe. I think that must be, you know, there must be endless confidence you must get from that. And he's really grown into the role. And look, Matty Cash, we took a, say what you like as well about Matty Cash. We took a kind of a punt on a guy who'd only played half a season, maybe 3/4 of a season at right back. And my God, can he play right back in the Premier League too as well? So the two Matties have definitely stepped up in every aspect of full back play this year. But Matt Targett has definitely been our most improved player. And yeah, I shudder to think what we would do when he does get that fifth yellow card. And obviously it'd be Neil Taylor that would come in, but last year we would have maybe said that Taylor was better in some aspects than Matt Targett, but now there's a clear winner, and Matt Targett is undoubtedly our left back, regardless of what happens.
I mean, we're virtually going through the whole side here, and we've done that in the show so far, and this is an Aston Villa show, and we haven't talked about Jack Grealish yet, Max, which is incredible. 20-25 minutes into the show, however long we are in. Again, he didn't get a goal or assist today, but his input for the goal is vital because he's made that goal with his run.
I've completely forgotten the goal.
He ran in there. And there was a bit of a collision, wasn't there?
Yeah. Sorry, I just completely forgot our goal. Then that's really weird. Yeah, there was talk about VAR, wasn't there? Because I think he got battered by, was it Christensen, and then they were looking at
50-50.
Yeah, I just think it's a coming together. I don't think there's a foul. I think if anything, it's a foul on Grealish because Christensen. Oh well, to be fair, Christensen sort of stands his ground. It's like I said, it's just a collision. I don't think there's a foul either way. But yeah, his run and just directness really did lead to the goal. And Matty Cash, what a ball in. And I think it's not great from Chelsea because El Ghazi is literally all by himself at the back stick. It was sort of similar to Everton away, the end of last season, where El Ghazi had that chance to make it 2-0 and he spoon it over the bar. But, he was slightly lucky that it went through the keeper's legs. But, yeah, fair play to Jack. It all went through him. But I think, last season, we keep on talking about, say, 12 months ago, literally everything goes through him. And if Jack Grealish has a quiet game, Villa don't get anything out of a match. But even when he has a quiet-ish night, don't get me wrong, he was still great tonight, but a quiet-ish night, and we still get a really decent result. So other players are stepping up, and it's really, really impressive. And again, it's just the development of the whole club and how we play football that everything doesn't go through Jack Grealish. So yeah, fair play to him though. He was really good tonight.
Yeah, he was worrying me as well. He kept shouting at the ref, and I was thinking, swearing at the ref. I was thinking, you're going to get yourself that yellow card, and you're going to be out of the Man U game. Obviously, he scored that wonderful goal at Old Trafford last year. Neil, was that ever anything that concerned you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think I saw, probably for the first time in 12 or 18 months, I think I saw Jack a bit tired tonight, but not lacking in effort, obviously, because he was everywhere. He's pulling the strings. And look, it's no shame in saying it that somebody is tired after playing 2 games in 48 hours, essentially, and basically playing more or less every minute for the Villa have played in 2020. I don't think he's missed very few minutes in very few games, I think. Yeah, and he's played with England. So, the start of the season has been more hectic than usual for him. Probably even more hectic than it was in the Championship as well. So he'll enjoy the few days off. I'm sure they won't be doing too much over the next day or so. With regards to training, I'd say a lot of it would be recovery, recuperation, and back on the horse again for United. But I'll say it again, I'll continue to say it, every day he throws on an Aston Villa shirt, we're blessed to see him, because he is so talismanic. And even when he's only playing at 70%, that other team is scared, and he can see the whites of their eyes every time he runs with the ball, regardless of whether he's not fully fit or he's running out of gas. Teams are so scared of him, and it's just a joy to have somebody like that in our team, and long may it continue. And I continue to say it. We are just blessed.
And on the tired front as well, I mean, I wouldn't think that any other player in the Premier League sees as much of the ball as Jack Grealish does for Villa. So he's doing a lot of sprints with the ball, which is probably unusual for. I know it sounds stupid, but it's probably unusual for one footballer to see that much of the ball and have to carry the ball so much so far as one guy, because we do rely on him heavily. So yeah, the few days rest will do him good. Max, as we've been through the whole side, we talked a little bit about Mings being out in the organisation, but you didn't notice it, and one of the reasons you don't notice it is because the goalkeeper, again, is just incredible.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I think for me, he's our signing of the season. I think he's one of the best signings that any club has made in the Premier League. What I quite like about him is that he catches everything. I think a lot of keepers just like to parry things off and just get out of the way, but he never makes me nervous. He never makes clearly any of the back four nervous. And just because he's so commanding, you could, especially when there being no fans in the stadium, you can hear him barking out the orders as well, from corners, for example, telling people where to go and things like that. But he's so commanding, he's so threatening, he's so big as well. So it's great to see. He's definitely, I think, our signing of the season, and testament to him. That's why we've conceded so little goals. I think we've got the second best defensive record in the Premier League after Man City. So compare that again to last season, it's just remarkable how far we've come, because we had the second worst defensive record last season after Norwich. So to flip that on its head, I think a lot of the credit has to go to Martinez as well as the back four. It's just so great to see. So credit to Martinez for 20 million as well. And you just got to laugh at Arsenal as well. No disrespect to them, but they made the decision to let him go. And there you go. Look where they are in the table. So fair play, Martinez. He's just fantastic.
Well, let's laugh at Arsenal a little bit, because I know a few Arsenal fans, and quite frankly, their attitude over the years has disgusted me, very much like Arsenal fan TV. So let's laugh at them a little bit. And I think they probably can't believe that we've got Martinez in goal, because I think a lot of Arsenal fans would have liked to keep him. I mean, look at that. The end of the year, the end of 2020, it's been an absolute trash, garbage year that I can't wait to see the back of. But for Villa, we end it in such a good place, Neil. And there's lots of things to look forward to for Villa going into 2021.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's good. They won't actually even have time to look forward to a lot, because the games come thick and fast up to the 8th of January, and then even after that, presumably, if things still go to plan, we'll be playing Man City and Newcastle within the space of 2 weeks. there as well. Our games in the hand that we have. So if nothing else, we've lots of games to look forward to in the month of January. But I suppose with Man City's game being called off now, you just don't know whether they're going to be able to fit that game in now. I suppose we'll have to see there maybe another rescheduling of that as well. But I think the transfer window is going to be tasty for Villa now. I don't think they need to go out and blow budgets. I think probably they just need to, carve up the positions as they have done, make sure that they've got decent, decent backup really, and decent options that would come in there. Maybe an extra option that comes in if Dougie Luiz gets 5 yellow cards or gets up to 10 yellow cards. Maybe, as I mentioned, something for Matt Targett. And I think that's really what the club will look forward to, is improving on the on-field quota, I suppose, of players at the moment, because they won't have time to look forward to games. They'll come so thick and fast now. But look, fifth in the table. I know we're level with Chelsea, Spurs, and I saw the table there a moment ago. I think it's Chelsea, Spurs, Man City, and then Southampton are 1 point behind. Yeah, there it is. I'm like Rain Man the way I was able to remember that.
Well done.
Villa, we're level with all those teams. So look, we're punching above our weight for what we've for the amount of players that we have. You just have to look at Chelsea's bench tonight. Was just ridiculous. Chelsea's bench was just hilarious, the amount of money that was spent on it, and if we can get a couple of options there that can strengthen the team, we're in a very, very good position. And it's better to be looking at the points that we've accumulated than to be looking for them like we were last year. So tally ho and onwards towards 2021.
Yeah, I think we can safely look at that league table and say that we're probably not going to be involved in a relegation scrap. So for once, we can enjoy knowing what league we're going to be in next season in a few weeks' time. I think we can definitely say we're not going to be involved in anything this season. So that is a good thing. Just to finish, I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, someone put this tweet out the other day. And Max, just wanted to come to you because obviously your channel is heavily based around going to games. Are you a little bit worried that when fans are allowed to come back in that we're going to wreck it?
Yeah, I think it is annoying because when we did stop going, I was kind of thankful because the last game I saw was the 4-0 defeat at Leicester, and I was thankful not to be going to games then. But turn it on its head now, and it's just so refreshing to see. I don't think any of us are complaining that we're doing so well, but it is a little bit annoying. So when we do go back, I don't think we'll struggle again, but yeah, there is a little bit in the back of my mind that's thinking, when we go back, will we see these 3-0s at Arsenal, the 7-2 sort of results? But obviously we won't see a 7-2 result against a side like Liverpool. But you know what I mean? Just these big results against the top sides that we have been doing so well this season. And it's just refreshing to be looking up rather than down in a league table, because apart from the championship years, I've never seen that with Villa, because I've seen some horrendous, we've all seen these horrendous Premier League sides in the last decade or so, but it's just so refreshing to be in and amongst the sides like Man City, Tottenham, United, teams like that, rather than at the bottom against the smaller sides. So it's great to see. The only way is up, hopefully, and hopefully when we do go back into stadiums, we'll be as good as we are now.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a little bit about Europe, and some of it is tongue-in-cheek. But actually, if you do look at the table, there is a real chance for us to do something this year, Neil. And you saw it on Boxing Day against Palace, up against the adversity. You know, that there's a real team there. And in a different way, you saw it again today. We have got a proper team.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a proper group of leaders. Leaders, how will I put it? They lead by doing. You know, we John McGinn step up today. We know how good John McGinn is. John McGinn was brilliant today. And what he did was just roll up his sleeves and he got it done. Like Sir Courtney Howe's coming in, just roll up his sleeves and got it done. It's the adversity that is making this team an awful lot stronger. The adversity of last year, and I know I hate saying this because there's no intangible, and I'm kind of a stats guy and I like to look at numbers and look at the evidence and say, right, this is why something has happened. But for me, this is kind of very feelingsy. But to go through the adversity of some of the horrible results we had last year, and the horrible runs of results has must have made this team a small bit more battle hardened. They know what they need to do, and they've obviously learned from their mistakes. But not only do the players get a big massive shout, I think that this coaching staff gets a huge shout. God be with the days, I think it was when everyone was calling for Smith out. Only 7 or 8 few short months previous, it was definite that Smith needed to go and so on. But it just shows that it takes time to build a club. It takes time to build a team at the top level, especially if you have a manager and players learning at the same speed. And to be honest with you, I don't think we want to hear anything to do with Dean Smith for some time to come, and long may it continue, because that stability of a coaching staff, along with having a real kind of clued in and keyed in group of players, is invaluable, and it just breeds the team spirit that we have now.
Yeah, I mean, I know I never wanted Dean Smith out, and I saw that, Max, you said the same on Twitter earlier. Just because you were questioning things doesn't mean you wanted the manager. I think we can all agree, the three of us, that even back then we wanted Dean Smith to be in charge of this club for a long time, and what he's done in the second half, especially of 2020, has been absolutely incredible, and he deserves all the plaudits. And I think I saw someone ask, I don't think he does get the credit he deserves in the national press for what he's done, considering what people are saying about Bielsa. When you look at what Dean Smith's done, it's absolutely incredible. So we'll end it there, guys. Thanks ever so much for coming on and chatting to me after the game. Don't forget, if you are interested in some purity goods, then go on their website and use our code #VillaView, and you'll get 10% off all the Villa and beer related duties. We'll be back again on New Year's Day after the Man U game, so look out for that. Thanks again to the guys. Up the Villa.